with roll call. Melissa?
Yes, sir. Mayor Owens?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Selby? Commissioner Stetson? Here. Commissioner Collins?
Yeah.
Commissioner Clissold?
Present.
Commissioner Mann?
Here.
Commissioner Wickstrom? Present.
All right, we have a quorum present. We will move on. We will have a moment of silent meditation, please. All right. Can we have the,
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to switch items C and B under presentations and reports.
all right, you want to change the
Just the
order?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The motion by Eddie Mann is second.
Second.
Second by Sherry, that we change the roll of order as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes seem to have it. All right. Can we have pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I kept looking at my agenda and I knew I was right, but I thought I was going crazy. But it is not on my agenda. The Pledge of Allegiance. Is it? Come here and look.
No, sir. Usually, since this is a recessed meeting from your original meeting, we don't always do it at the mid-month meeting, but that's okay.
I thought the regular meeting you started out officially with everything. But it doesn't make a difference. We did it, so it's done.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so the first item on the agenda is Employee Service Awards. And I am going to stand up and grab the handheld microphone for this. Okay, yeah. So the first, Investigator Moore, if you will come up here, we'll do your award first. On the way over, I was telling the mayor tonight that it's really great to work in a place where we celebrate people's longevity, but also that we have 3 of these awards to give out tonight. So I think it speaks so much to the environment that you all create that we celebrate our long-term employees. So this evening, we are recognizing Investigator Doug Moore for 10 years of service to the town. Investigator Moore crossed a big threshold this year by completing over 400 hours in training and obtained his investigator certificate as well. Doug regularly collaborates with other agencies to assist with felony investigations, and we are so thrilled that he is part of our work family. Congratulations.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Next up, we have Officer Rhodes. So tonight we are recognizing Officer Rhodes for 5 years of service. Officer Rhodes completed training for canine handling in the past year and has received his Police Officer 2 designation. He is also a firearms instructor, and we are thrilled that he is here and serves with us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't mean to throw the microphone at you. Eddie, come on up here. Okay, and we are tonight also presenting Eddie Hanesick with his 5 years of service. Eddie is Deputy Water and Sewer Department Manager. He brought a wealth of knowledge with him when he came to work for the town with over 30 years of experience in the utility industry. He's a great teacher and is always ready to assist other departments and offers his great knowledge of construction to all of us on a regular basis. He's a true and valued asset to the town.
Thank you.
Congratulations. 20 years ago, I started working for Eddie, doing construction in Overcoat. And Eddie's always been moving up in the world, and I'm still trying to get there, so.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, so the next item on the agenda, since we amended it, is a presentation from former Penunski Chief Kevin Brown. You all on the board remember that I reported to you back in July that the mayor and I met with former Chief Brown regarding his proposal. He was one of the few that responded to our request for qualifications on the Manteo statue. So tonight he's here to make a presentation to you all at our request as a follow-up to our meeting in July. Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to add anything.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit that this is, I've casually talked to most of the commissioners, casually. See what idea they thought it was to present what we're getting ready to present to you folks, and I'm glad there's a good crowd here tonight because you can see what's happening. I'm hoping you are receptive to the project and we will move forward to it. So if you will, I guess you're going to take off and lead with it?
Actually, I'm going to invite Chief Brown and his
and
friends.
And who they are, and their identification, everything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So if you want to take a photo. Okay.
All right.
I keep telling myself,
I think I got it.
don't break,
That's
don't
good.
break.
Hello, my name's Kevin Brown, and I'm from the Pamunkey Indian
Speak
Reservation.
up, please, so we can all hear you.
My name's Kevin Brown. I'm from the Pamunkey Indian Reservation in Virginia, and I've been a lifelong artist and sculptor. I worked at a bronze foundry for 10 years. I got some pictures of some stuff, and I have some other samples of some of my work. this is a model that I did, and this is actually the third one that I did after a consultant with LeBaum and Dr. Klingelhofer. And I came, this design, this is like a progression, and they both talked to me about, what they wanted and what the town of Manteo wanted, what Mayor Owens was kind of looking for. And the first model I did, it was more of a stoic kind of, well, I'll show it to you in a minute. It wasn't very inviting and friendly and open. And so I worked on this pose for a really long time to try to get a feeling and a sense of welcoming. We were going to do a wave like this, but after research, waving didn't come into practice until the 1700s, late 1700s in Europe. And a hand gesture like this could mean stop. And so I wanted to do a hand gesture that meant welcome, or, my friends come, this way. Because back in the 1500s and 1600s, there weren't any docks or piers, and so the English vessels were moored either in the Sound or in the ocean, and they had to come in on rowboats. And so Manteo and the other natives here, the other Roanoke people, would have to stride across the marsh or through the mud to greet the English. And there's documentation that oftentimes the English passengers would, the Powhatan Indians would carry them on their back across the marshes. And so I have him striding across a marsh, or, through the grass or through a field, going towards the ship. And in his left hand, he has a tobacco pouch. And that's really what fueled and paid for the exploration. Sir Walter Raleigh and the Virginia Company, it was all fueled on tobacco and the craving for tobacco in Europe. And so I have him holding a tobacco pouch in his left hand. And this is actually wax. It's not bronze, but I just painted it to look like bronze. Wax is part of the process in casting bronze. It's called lost wax process. And so this was originally clay. Then I made a rubber mold of it, and then I cast it in wax. And the same thing, will be done with a full-size sculpture. I'll do a sculpture, a life-size sculpture in clay. I'll make a mold of it, and then I'll cast it in wax. Then you make another mold of the wax, and they burn the wax out at the foundry, and then they pour hot molten bronze into the molds. And the life-size piece will be cast in parts. They'll probably like halfway up a leg will be one piece, halfway up the other leg will be another piece, and then it's all welded together. It's called TIG welding. It's welded with bronze rods, and then it has to be all ground down and chafed and basically resculpted, and then there's a patina put on it, and then it's ready for to set it up in the final destination. And this would be about 6 foot 2 inches tall when it's finished. And I have it here on a round circular pad, because we looked at the park right down over here, and there's an area that just has flowers and shrubs in it right now, but that's where I was told that everybody thought was the best place for the statue. And so it will be set on a concrete pad in the middle of that round circle. And it's going to take 6 months to a year to have it finished and placed. The foundry that I've been working with is called Carolina Bronze, and they're in, I think it's called Seaford, Carolina. It's not too far from Durham. But they're all ready to go, and they're just waiting to hear from the council and to see if this is, see if you want to get this done, and we'll get started on it right away. And I have some more examples, and maybe I can just set them on the desk here. Okay. All right, thanks, LeBron. I got it. Okay. I got it. This is a piece, I was commissioned by Jamestown, and now it's actually owned by the Department of Virginia. This is, I cast this in bronze. Okay. Oh, okay. I cast this in bronze, and this is, it's called an artist's proof. The final piece of this was 6 foot tall, and it's a Jamestown out in the, it's called Legacy Walk. If you ever go to the Jamestown where the ships are in Williamsburg, you'll see the statue here. I was commissioned in 2007. This was cast at Aylet Art Foundry, and I worked there for 10 years. And this is solid bronze. It's about a quarter of an inch to 3/8 of an inch thick. This was wax originally, and we cast it. And so this kind of gives you an idea of what the look. And this has been outside for about 10 years. So this is the color that it'll take on. It's called a patina. Eventually it'll turn green, and that's what I really like, the green bronze. But some people like to keep it cleaned, and you can clean it and wax it every once in a while if you want to keep it, natural metal. But if you just let it go, it turns this beautiful bronze, like some of the bronzes in the Elizabethan gardens. But bronze will last 2,000 years, so if you go for this, it's going to be here forever. So, but that's a piece. And this is I used a cousin of mine as a model. He lives on the reservation. And this is intended to be Obi Kankanu, who was the chief of Pamunkey. And the Pamunkeys, we were the largest tribe of the Powhatan Confederacy. And this was part of our territory. The Roanoke people were part of the Powhatan Confederacy. And we actually lived in North Carolina too. We had there's an island called Monkey Island, and it's in the Currituck Sound. And if you look it up on Wikipedia, it'll tell you it used to be one of our territories. We used to hunt ducks there. And I got some other stuff. This is the first model I did, and that's from that drawing there, the John White drawing. But I'm talking with Eric and Mayor Owens. We thought that this is not the right person, and it's just the wrong image. And so we wanted a more, friendly, welcome image, and a younger person too. So if you look at the face, I used photographs of some turn of the century Powhatan Indians, and I used a couple of my neighbors, and a photograph of my brother when he was about 20 years old. And so I was told Manteo was around in his early 20s. Yeah. And so I've tried to make him look a little bit younger than this. But this is wax too. I didn't cast it, but I just did this just an idea to show the first design. So I went from here to here. And then I did these about 20 years ago, and this is from the John White watercolors. And this is pewter, and the bow is copper. And I did a series of these, and they were a limited edition. I think this is number 26. But I did that in pewter. And this is a woman with a baby on her back, and that's from the John White drawings too. And that goes with this as a set. And this is the last set in existence. I don't know what happened. I sold the other ones. I don't know where they went. But I gave this to my mother as a Christmas present. And I had some technical stuff for the committee. I can leave with you a proposal, a budget proposal. And I've been talking with Carolina Bronze, and they're ready to go. They just need a commitment from the council if this is what you want to do. And they'll put me on the schedule as soon as they get a commitment. And then you're looking at 6 months, maybe 6 to 8 months out before it'll be ready. So I'll be looking at placement maybe June or July, something like that. Okay, LeBom, you want to?
As they say in the theater, am I hot? Well, Manteo is usually identified as friend of the English, and he certainly was that. But he was much more. He was also friend of the Roanoke's and friend of the Croatoans. And he was a key player in the development and implementation of Raleigh's concept of non-invasive side-by-side colonization. There is no painting, no carving, no statue, no physical description of Manteo anywhere. But we do know a lot about his native world. Manteo lived in the kingdom of King Wingina. Now, Wingina lived in what is now Man's Harbor. That's where his town was. He was a Roanoke. And north and west of him were his allies, the people of Pomiak and Sikatan and Aquascaga, extending approximately from Hyde County to the Neuse, were his allies. But closer, his own people, the Roanokes, were principally on Roanoke Island, and that was his brother, Granganameo. This one right there. Where is it? This one right here. And his territory was not only Roanoke Island, but it was Nag's Head, shoreline, and in the mainland up to the Channel. The Channel in the 16th century was where Body Island Lighthouse is today. That's where the English anchored. And of course, on the other side of the Channel were the Croatoans, their main village being in what is now Buxton. The Roanokes and the Croatoans were extremely friendly with each other. The concept of visiting, which I think still exists in Manteo, they'd stay longer than most of our visitors do, but it must have been a long way from Buxton to Roanoke Island. You'd need a little rest. So Manteo, as a Croatoan, they were certainly in the kingdom of King Wingina, but there was no chief, no lord. But there was a lady there who had considerable influence, and it just happened to be Manteo's mother. Well, Manteo, as a young man, was very popular. He was considered to be very smart. He was extremely friendly, and especially with the people of Roanoke Island. Manteo had never seen an Englishman until 1584 when Amadis and Barlow showed up on the shore, and he was greatly impressed. He was friendly, as were all the Roanokes and Croatoans with Amadis and Barlow, and as you know, Manteo and his friend Wanchese, soon to be enemy Wanchese, went to back to England. And Manteo stayed there for 6.5 months. And he stayed with Sir Walter Raleigh in London, his house being called the Durham House. And Sir Walter Raleigh bought him not only one suit, but a full wardrobe of upper-class English men's attire. And as far as we know, Manteo really loved it, and he wore it all over England. And when he came back to the Outer Banks, and the last time any Englishman ever saw him, he was still wearing English clothes. So Manteo was there this time about 6.5 months, and he was with Raleigh, listened to what Raleigh was saying about colonization and what the goals were. And in 6.5 months, Manteo became absolutely fluent in English. He could speak it and he could understand it. And then he began to understand Raleigh's concept of colonization. And he decided to help. And he did with PR. He was taking Manteo, Raleigh was taking Manteo to groups, and he was encouraging them to come to the Outer Banks, like our tourist bureau does. Well, it's clearly worked because Raleigh had the money, and he sent out his first voyage of exploration, which was under Ralph Lane primarily, and Manteo went back, and he was committed to being a major part of it, and he was. He was not just a guide. He helped Ralph Lane with his plans. He determined routes. He went with him. He negotiated for Ralph Lane. Manteo was a major player in the voyage of exploration. And if they were attacked by an enemy force, as they were a couple of times, Manteo, wearing his English attire in the boat with Ralph Lane, fired the first shot. He understood what was happening. But as you well know, Ralph Lane's voyage didn't get resupplied. Raleigh was very bad about feeling his colonists. He left 3,000 miles away. And so, hungry and tired after 11 months, they went back to England with Sir Francis Drake, and Manteo went with them. In the interim, shortly after they departed, Sir Richard Grenville left 15 men on Roanoke Island to hold the fort. Well, Manteo had a full understanding of what was happening now, and he went back to stay with Sir Walter Raleigh. And so they came up with a concept that I don't believe you've heard of before. You might have. But in 1587, the plan was to plant 2 settlements. You know all about the one John White had with what we now call the Lost Colony and what happened to that. But that was supposed to have been along the Chesapeake, near the Chesapeake. But Manteo was going to have all the lands under his control that had been claimed by Amatus and Barlow, which is to say everything in a 50-mile radius of Body Island Lighthouse. And Manteo was to keep this fort open and use the 15 men Grenville had left as his helpers, and to integrate Croatoans and Roanoke into that mixture. Manteo was a major player, and Raleigh had a major trust in him. Of course, as we know, Grenville's men were not here, so there was a slight problem, but I'm sure John White made up for that. When they arrived in 1587, as you know, it was chaos, but Governor White did exactly what Raleigh had instructed him to do. He christened Manteo and ennobled him, making him Lord of Roanoke and Dassamunkapuk, which is to say Raleigh was the overseer of all the property within a 50-mile radius of Body Island Lighthouse. And he did that, but he, of course, had the 1587 colony, which we call the Lost Colony, temporarily squatting on his land. But we don't know, of course, what happened. Only in 1590, when John White came back, and with the Croatoan on the post and CRO on the tree. But John White felt comfortable that most of his settlers had gone to their dedicated site of resettlement, which was near the Chesapeake, and First Colony Foundation, archaeologists have proved to some extent that that is exactly where some of them went. But some of them were still holding the fort and had gone to Croatoan for one reason or another, so white was comfortable. So when we think about Manteo, the English, the Croatoans, and the Roanoke's, they all thought Manteo to be personable, vigorous, responsible, intelligent, an all-around good fellow, a warrior when necessary, and a man who deeply believed in Raleigh's side-by-side, non-invasive colonization plan. Now, how can we not honor such a man? Sounds like the Manteo way to me.
Thank you. Well, we've had a good brief history on Chief Manteo, and we appreciate it, LeBon. Folks, you can see where this board is going. We're trying to establish the relationship between Manteo and the whole area, and Manteo, and actually, what other tidbit could we put in except adding Chief Manteo, or Manteo, which was not a chief, to the concept of the basis for what's going on in Manteo. Like I said, it's been brought to the board tonight, not unfairly, but probably because we had a hard time putting it all together. I have one more gentleman I'd like to introduce. I will like to see this being said for Chief Bryan. Chief Bryan is well known throughout the architectural sculpture community. We put out some, I don't know, Melissa's got a fancy name for it, but to sculptors all over the eastern seaboard, and they're all booked solid just about, and he had, Chief Bryan had 2 openings, and we would like to look at trying to get him hired. Truthfully, that's the bottom line. So, Doc, stand up and tell us a little bit about yourself. Yes, you. You've got quite a reputation for yourself.
If it's better, we can bring you a microphone as well.
My mobility is doesn't live up to that reputation, but I will speak clearly, and can you all hear me now, including the mayor? Okay, Bobby, thank you for the introduction, or let me explain. I'm Dr. Eric Klingelhofer. I'm one of the 2 directors of research for the First Colony Foundation. I won't go into what I've done, which is a lot of excavations around the world, but I will tell you that now that I've retired to the coast here, sadly not to Manteo itself, but to Nag's Head, and so I can keep an eye on things, on the archaeological research going on here. Let me say enough about me, but I think this town is very fortunate to have someone of the status, the experience, the character, and the heritage of Chief Brown here as a more than willing artist to represent the Algonquin people, coastal Algonquins of the Carolinas. And when you see his vita on the council, you will be, I'm sure, amazed at the number of awards that he has won. National fame, really, not just regional. And this would be a great connection between the leading East Coast Indian artist and the town of Manteo to make this creation for you all. On a personal note, I have happened to know the family for some years because Kevin's brother, his late brother, Jeff, worked with First Colony Foundation, and in 2008 It was on the excavation at Fort Raleigh that was filmed for a television production. He was part of that crew, and Jeff was part of the team that excavated what eventually turned out to be the site of the hidden treasures on Roanoke, the copper necklace, which we are certain, because of dating purposes, dates back to the Elizabethan period, and it was hidden. We suggest that it was made for an Indian noble, a chain of office, as the English would understand. Mayors have that, other dignitaries have such a thing, and it was one of the great 20th century discoveries, or in this case, 21st century. I get my centuries confused sometimes. At any rate, I think you could not have a better match for someone whose culture represents the native past and whose experience represents American artistry at its best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We refer to Chief Brown because he is an actual chief. He's chief of the Pamunkey tribe. Yeah, well, whatever. You have been. Chief of the Pamunkey tribe and around the Williamsburg, what area?
We're actually King William County, which is 35 miles from Williamsburg.
Yeah, and he's quite a reputation built up in the Williamsburg area and the Jamestown area as far as statues and doing his work. So he is not unknown to the area. And I've been pushing him pretty hard to try to get this job done. We have one statue in Manteo to drink water, which is a nice one out at the park. Manteo funded that statue. It's a matter of record to the tune of $31,000. Small statue, not very dynamic, but it is very effective. And that was the goal here. As you notice out in the town parking lot, there's an obelisk. It's covered with grass now, but it's a covered obelisk with different colors and designs. And that's where the statue would probably go, on that obelisk out there, and we'd move on from there. So I asked the board's support in doing this project and seeing if we can afford it, of course, and go from there. And because we have to obligate Chief Brian early, because he's, like you said, he's 2 months out now, and most of the bronze architects are out. And I will say this for Carolina Bronze in Pembroke, it's one of the best firms on the East Coast. If you'll check it out, you'll find out I'm telling you the truth. Carolina Art and Bronze. So it's all done above board, straight as the arrow, and the best it can be done. Chief, do you have anything to offer? Anything else?
I just
Because I'm going to open it up to the board.
I have a budget here.
We've got copies we can pass to the board of
Yeah.
this proposal.
It's a total of $60,000, and that includes delivery, all the fees, all my artist fees, delivery and placement. The only thing we would need from the town is just some logistics and permits that, permits need to be, pulled. I'm ask help with that. I don't know what your building codes in this area, but, we want to do everything according to code. And there may have to be, on the date of placement, there may have to be a street block or an alley block, or the statue will come on a trailer, and we'll need a crane, either a crane or a small excavator. It'll have to be set in place, so it'll have to be, for safety purposes, it has to be, that day it'll have to be sectioned off. And so we just need some cooperation on that.
All right, we're gonna open it for discussion. Anybody like to take off? Anyone? Wait a minute, I'm hearing voices.
I said, I think it's a wonderful idea, and I hope the time will.
All right, Betty, if you'll hold off, please, for this not audience participation, but appreciate what you just said. So, Board of Commissioners.
I think it was well presented. I think it's something that is all about Manteo. It's a project that we all can benefit from, as well as our tourists. I think it was presented well, and I love to see us go down that road, Mayor, of having this done, completed.
All right, anyone else?
I would say, the financial end, we spend about 50 grand in fireworks, and it lasts about 15 minutes, so, for something that's gonna last 2,000 years, it's a pretty good bang for your buck.
Good job.
Sheriff?
I am so honored by Chief Brown. Your work is beautiful. The lost wax technique is just outstanding, and I always love what comes from that. And it's ancient. I think the Mayas used the lost wax technique. So beautifully executed on your part. Anyway, and I honor your presentation. It was really good. My question really is, Mayor, when you and I talked about this, you said this was a presentation, and we did receive some other, what was it, a request for proposals or? Yeah, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. I'm not saying that this wouldn't be exactly what we need, but I feel strongly we need to follow a process. And this is a little different than what you had explained to me when you said this was coming in. So I would just like to have a little bit more time to look at the other submissions, just so that we're making sure that we're doing the right thing. I'm not saying that we are not, because I really like this as well. But we haven't really followed a process. And so I'm just concerned about that.
I was planning on leaving this, so if you get under model or permission, you can, I can leave this here, so we can kind of compare.
Well, this is the first non-proposal, and of course, it seems like Sherry, every time she wants to do something, she wants a little more time. So I think we should grant that time to where she wants to go with it and see what we want to do. Not saying she's opposed to it, but saying that she might be opposed to it, she might be for it, but we'll only know when she comes out and says that. Todd?
Well, I know it's been a topic that we've talked about for over a year or more, and I mean, I think our town is growing, and I think the beautification is ongoing. I mean, with the Davis lot and the parking lot, I think it would be a great addition. I do think, we do need to discuss the presentation with the budget on the money, but it's considerably a lot less than numbers that were floated around a few months ago. And I'm kind of like Eddie. For $65,000, I think you're getting a lot for your money. And even if it's with these gentlemen or not, I mean, I do think it needs to be something that is completed and done, and so the citizens of the town can appreciate what Chief Manteo has done.
We have to realize this is just a proposal tonight. It is not done. I wouldn't even expect nobody to vote for it tonight, to tell you the truth.
Well,
But
in that case, I'm
sooner or later, we've got to open the door.
Well, I'm
Always.
open for it, and I'm ready to move on. And I think that from what I can see, I don't have my glasses on, but from what I see from here, it's a wonderful piece of art, and I think it would be well-received in the common parking lot, and hopefully it's durable and can withstand minor violence, or I know when Manteo High School loses a football team, or football game, I hope they don't come and try to spray paint it. But no, it's a beautiful sculpture, and I appreciate you giving the presentation on the bomb. Thanks for the little history lesson too.
Okay. Carol, do you feel like saying anything? No? Okay. Good, James?
Mr. Brown, I am honored to have you come and present to us. This is a very cool part of Manteo's history to have someone from a tribe come and do this. That when we had talked about this project before, that was my number one thing, was that it came from a native creator. And so this is really beautiful, what you've presented. I am for whatever the citizens are for. So if our citizens say we would like to use our taxpayer dollars for a statue, I'm a yes. So we obviously have to explore all the RFPs that came in, but this has been a beautiful presentation.
I'll leave this, so if you can put it somewhere where the public can see it or whatever. It's wax. It just has to stay in the...
Climate controlled?
Yeah. You can't put it in the closet on a hot car.
Right.
Because it'll start to soften up. But I'll leave it here.
Okay.
You can take a look at it.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
All right, thank you, Ruth. Well, I think I'm hearing from the board a good positive feeling, but not a negative feeling anyhow. So we'll move on from there and start maybe some planning and Ed?
Have we received any proposals?
We did, including Chief Brown's. We received, I think, 7 or 8 proposals in response to the RFP.
Probably not qualified.
All right, if it's acceptable with the board, we'll continue the discussion about Chief Manteo and the pavilion. You know, we keep talking about artwork and art pieces and art places, and we're talking about them, we're not doing it. It's easy to put up or shut up, and that's the best thing to do, is see what we're willing to do, which I think probably Eddie was the best proposal. Anybody been waiting this long for anything can wait a little longer.
I will say, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a great idea, and in the sake of time, the sooner this project was started, it could possibly be done for their days, which would be a great
Well, the idea was started in '03 when I first run for office. That was one of my plaques. I had a governor that I thought the world of, Mike Easley, and he always told me, Bobby, always have a plan, know where you're going, know what you're doing, be positive with it, and move on. He said, dreams for the dreamers and doers for the doers. So that's where I've always been, and that's where I will be. So I think it's time for us to do instead of talk about it. But we'll wait and hold off when somebody gets ready to bring it up. That's what we'll do. All right. If we're all right with that, we'll move on to the next item.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody want to do anything else with it? I don't think we should. I leave it where it is.
Town manager could resend us the previous RFPs. We have several
Yes, I will put them all together for you.
to look at, and then where this could be on the budget.
All right.
And I have one other thing to say. It would be really nice to be able to announce this so that our residents can come and take a look at it. I think
Oh,
it's
sure.
very-
Yeah, we can do a press release about it and some social media.
Would you do that? That would be
Sure.
wonderful, so that we can get some good feedback. I'm sure it'll be very well received.
Sure. We'll leave a little comment station up too, so folks can leave their opinions and we can get them to y'all.
And then, I mean, we could put it on the agenda at some point in the future to have this sort of final discussion. Yeah, I know that we've talked about it quite a bit, so if we could put that on the agenda for whenever the next meeting would be.
November the 1st.
Or maybe that's too soon, maybe the next one after that. How about that? The mid-November, that would be good. And then we can, is that too soon? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be discussed a whole lot further, but I think it's good to get some input from the public,
too.
and then we can easily make our decision.
All right, you've got feelings from the board, and you know where to go and what we're doing, so here we go. So if you will, we'll move on to the next item.
The next item on the agenda is a presentation by Destination by Design. They are the firm that is helping us with the branding and wayfinding project that we have going on. Tonight we have Destination by Design Senior Marketing Manager Erin Welsh, who is going to give us that update. Erin has been leading the branding portion of the work done by Destination by Design, and she has been meeting regularly with our Main Street Advisory Board. They are making incredible progress, and she will tell us all about the work that they've been doing. Welcome, Erin.
And do we have a presentation?
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, please. Awesome. Well, Mayor Owens, Commissioners, thank you so much for your time. This is a very good day of work when I get to come and visit you all in Manteo. As Melissa said, my name is Erin Welsh. I'm with Destination by Design, and I've been lucky enough to be working on this project for a few months now, and I feel like the progress we've made is exciting, and so I'm happy to be here and share this with all of you. You can see that we have a 6-phase project. We are right at the end of phase 2. We've completed our discovery and analysis. We are presenting a brand strategy tonight, and barring any final edits from our committee and from you all, we will have finalized that. We've begun our visual identity process, which is the logo design. And once we have a final brand strategy, we'll continue through with that. After we finish that, we will go into our marketing strategy recommendations. Phase 5 starter content is well underway. Actually, our film team is here this weekend filming. So we should be able to finish that project, that part of the project up and put a bow on it pretty quickly. Phase 6 is a creative design allowance. That is kind of a TBD as to when and where that will be used. Most likely it'll come in the form of graphic design and marketing support. Working with the committee, we solidified a few things. The committee decided that we really wanted to focus on concepts of downtown and water. And through all of our meetings, we found that there was a clear focus, a secondary focus on your creative, welcoming, and distinctly charming nature. This project is, I should have said at the beginning, for the Manteo Main Street efforts. We also established some project goals. We wanted to differentiate Manteo from the rest of the Outer Banks, at the same time being able to capitalize on your close location here. We want to expand public perception of Manteo's history beyond the Lost Colony and incorporate some of the other amazing things that have happened here. We want to support and drive overnight tourism in whatever way is deemed best. We want to update and modernize Manteo's identity while continuing to honor the traditions and culture that make you all distinct. And we want to develop a brand identity to support our wayfinding efforts. Destination by Design also has a planning team who is currently working on wayfinding efforts. They are well underway at this point, and our teams will meet when we have a visual identity and a brand that they can move forward with. We also are recommending that this branding be the replacement for the Discover Manteo effort that was started a few years ago. While we were here on our discovery trip, we did a site visit. We also did a lot of desktop research, and we discovered a few things. None of these are going to be a huge surprise to you, but these are the things that really rose to the top for us. is that Manteo should build on what makes them different from other locations in the Outer Banks. You'll have a very powerful history and storytelling value, and there are opportunities to tell all of the stories that happened here. You are a very popular day trip destination, as you all know, especially during the summer, high season, and on rainy days. But we want to expand your perception into a year-round destination and one that is just as desirable on sunny days. You're a newly designated Main Street community, and that energy is powerful, so let's capitalize on that. Based on all of these things, we put together something that we call brand pillars, and these are the pieces of you all's identity that we really base our brand on. These brand pillars are history and heritage, the great outdoors, music, arts, and culture, and a scenic, walkable downtown and waterfront. And based on these pillars, the brand that we've suggested is Meet Me in Manteo. Along with the committee, I'm excited about this brand. I feel like it's welcoming, it's vibrant, it invites people to meet me in Manteo, to come visit. There's also a lot of opportunity here for marketing and advertising to spin this into something bigger than just what you see on the screen here. You will all be able to find our approach here in the printout that Michelle did for you, so I won't just read it to you. But we do love this idea that Manteo isn't just a place to visit, it's a place to belong. And that when people do visit Manteo, whether it's for a day, 2 days, a weekend, they get to feel like they are a part of Manteo's story. And again, I won't necessarily read all of this to you, but we do go through history and heritage. For us, this Manteo has been a place of meeting, of refuge, of discovery for centuries now. And that story continues in new and different ways, but it does continue. As far as the great outdoors, there is no better way to experience the great outdoors than with someone that you love or enjoy spending time with. So the invitation to Meet Me in Manteo is an invitation to experience all of the beauty and the natural world that you have surrounding you here. Music, art, and culture. This is a good weekend to build on this brand pillar. I arrived at our hotel about an hour before this meeting started, and downtown was full of people enjoying the kickoff to the festival. So this pillar really does, we're living it this weekend here. And then finally, a scenic and walkable downtown. That one I feel like is probably the easiest connection for me to make, is this is a space to meet a friend, to run into someone, to make a new friend. There are so many opportunities in your beautiful downtown area to meet me in Manteo. Next steps for our group. We are looking for feedback on this brand. We've provided you all with a printout and are happy to make edits or revisions. One of the things that's really important to me and to Destination by Design is that we don't come into a town and tell you who you are. We do our best to reflect back what we hear from you. So no one knows Manteo better than this group here, and we're happy to take your feedback and really incorporate it into the brand strategy. We are also looking at continuing our visual identity review. We should have 3 concepts for our committee to review in early November. We're still kind of fiddling with a final meeting date there. And Michelle and I are going to just begin our marketing discovery process tomorrow. We are sticking pretty close to our estimated schedule here. We should be able to finalize all phases of this project by February. We're giving ourselves a little bit of a grace period for that those few lost weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And that is the short and sweet update. I'm happy to answer questions or clarify on anything that we've talked about today.
Thank you. Interesting report.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Listen. Oh, there she is.
Next item on the agenda is an update. And Woody is going to take a second and download this PowerPoint presentation, but I have a copy of it. And
Excuse me. I think that Destination by Design was looking for some, yeah. Well, I just wanted to say about the process altogether, what a thorough, incredibly thorough. I am so delighted that we landed on Destination by Design. You have so much experience and it really shows. And it isn't an easy process, as we know. It's difficult to get everybody to agree on something, but sometimes there's a miracle. And that truly is what happened with Meet Me and Manteo. It was pretty astounding. So anyway, I really appreciate all that this team, this group did. The Main Street Board, I don't know how many meetings we've had, but it's really important for everybody to look this information over. And how does that resonate with you? Because that's the brand, the logo is Meet Me and Manteo. Meet Me and Manteo.
I think Meet Me and Manteo is so charming.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever, I can't poll the audience here, but that sounds so delightful. It's a beautiful way to phrase our town. It reminds me of Casablanca for some strange reason. There's something about it that is so old, just old vintage. It's beautiful. I love it. That's such a good phrasing. I don't know who coined it, but you guys, that was brilliant.
I can tell you the story.
It really was.
Divine, even better.
I'm not kidding.
I love it. Hey.
We ought not get in this open conversation between the board and the town for opening a bad precedent if we do. I hope you understand that we have to keep control. Most of the places if you're well aware, in Boston and up in the New England states, they are open meetings, which they are privileged to have, and everybody jumps in and everybody says what they think. Well, never happened in our area. I don't think it should be now. So we're either going to have to decide if we want to have open meetings or meetings. And
I'd like to just ask the board, does anybody have any issues with I believe there's a Robert's Rule of Order.
I'm not trying to get in a confrontation with you.
Mayor Owens, excuse me, I'd like to finish my sentence, please, as an elected official on this board. Robert's Rules of Order for interaction with the audience. I would just like a little clarity on, isn't that a consent from the board on whether or not we interact with the audience? Who sets the precedent?
The board.
The board. Okay.
Always.
So I think what happened in this scenario, I think we didn't get a chance. We moved on a little too fast. That's how I perceived that.
Right.
I would like to have been able to, because it was a presentation, and we do have interchange when there's a presentation. We can. Just like we did with the presentation previously, right?
That's the purpose of the public comment period. Everybody can cuss you out all they want to and be able to get away with it and not say a word because you can't come back at them. That's the purpose.
Mayor Owens, I agree with you that public comment is that, or can be that, but also we can interact with the public
Well, we can't make the rules every single meeting.
Mayor Owens, I'd like to move on, but thank you for this wonderful work on Meet Me and Manteo. It's fabulous.
And cannot say it's not well taken because it is. Your comments are excellent, by the way. But we have to have ground rules.
I agree with that.
All right, move on, Melissa.
So the next item on the agenda is the town manager update. While that is the typical topic that I use here, I should disclose that this idea and concept of what I am going to call actually suggestion from Water and Sewer Director Josh O'Brien. So I got back and tried to email my presentation and it came out blank. So what you all have is what I was able to print. I have extra copies, a few extra copies if folks are interested. But we recently made some infrastructure improvements in front of the waterfront condo buildings. Our water meters for that service that building were actually underneath the building in a closet, and the town standard is typically that we have those at the property line. And those water services were also in the same closet as their sprinkler system. And so staff felt like it was an opportunity to make a situation right. So in doing so, the water meters were moved outside the building, and now we are able to isolate water to the building in a much safer fashion and not interrupt all the services, which is the way that it was happening before. So in doing so, the sidewalk in front of the waterfront condo building was torn out in order to place those boxes there. And so that's the picture is now the existing condition, the first picture that you all have, where you see that the sidewalk was removed, the curb was removed, and we were looking at just replacing those 4 sections of sidewalk when Josh asked if we could go down and do a little site visit. And one of the things that Josh recommended, and I agree with him, is that this offers an opportunity for us to start a project that we have talked about a number of times, which is going forward with removing the Bradford pears, which are an invasive species, along Queen Elizabeth Avenue. Our ordinance requires when we replace sidewalk in the downtown area that it be replaced with exposed aggregate. So just doing 4 sections of exposed aggregate is going to look kind of funny when we have an opportunity to kind of make it uniform down the street. So what I would recommend to you all is, since we are at this juncture where we've got to replace some sidewalk, is that maybe we go ahead and we start by removing the trees, which I know there is a difference of opinion, and I want to acknowledge that. But I think everybody agrees that those Bradford pears should be removed. And so the difference of opinion is what comes back. So I've got a recommendation for you all, and I'd love for you to agree or disagree tonight so I get an idea of moving forward. But what I would like to do, similar to how we approached the Magnolia Lane repairs, is to go ahead and the first section, which would not disrupt the stairs to the waterfront condo building, there's a natural break that would allow us to do the first section, which is where this tree is from the northern entrance of the resident parking underneath the waterfront condo building to the stairs. We could do that, and then sometime in the winter, when those businesses are closed, usually in January or February, do the remaining sidewalk in front of the building so that we are not impacting businesses when they are so busy. But right now is a pretty busy season for them. So, but I would like to go ahead and if we are able to mobilize a crew to remove the trees, to take all 7 trees out at the same time, knowing that the repairs would be coming. And so the recommendation that I have for you all about what goes back, I don't have a species yet. Here we are. So I don't have a species yet because I think that we would need to measure and pick the appropriate size. But what I have heard is that people, and especially if we're putting a very nice sidewalk back, planting a tree in the sidewalk, we know is going to impact the sidewalk at some point, and that is what we see as evident now. The sidewalks are buckled, the curbs are cracked, and so I've looked at this option of these larger concrete planters that a tree could be planted in, and I think that may be a good compromise for you all to consider. One of our vendors, these are all from the same vendor. You can just flip through them. But They are all kind of a sand color that I think would complement the exposed aggregate sidewalk. And obviously, they have some that are suitable for trees. So I think it would be what would appropriately fit in the squares where the trees currently are. So that is my recommendation to you all, and we don't need a decision necessarily tonight. I would like to go ahead and engage with some tree folks and get some quotes on removing those trees. I know that they can't be pulled out. We're going to have them, cut and ground in place. That's why also planting something in the place is going to be tricky because there are utilities all in the areas. So that's my update. And I'd love any feedback you all have to offer.
I'd like to move forward. I think the Bradford pears have served their purpose. They were beautiful for many years. Kind of outgrown sidewalk up Ridge Avenue and others. Hazard. So I think different direction to move in, and I think probably give us a
So can you tell me how tall trees can grow in those? I mean, can they grow 10, 12, 15? How tall?
I think it's going to depend on the size of the container. And so what I'd like to do is do a little more homework and measure what would fit there, and then go to somebody who has some specialty that is not me and say, if you were going to plant a tree in a planter this size and you would want it to get tall, what would that species be? Before, I thought we were talking about something that would need to be salt tolerant, and if it's in the container, it doesn't necessarily have to be. So that might open more options for us as well. So there's certainly some engagement with somebody who has way more knowledge about trees than I do. And I think what is driven is the size. What drives that is the size of the container that would fit.
Okay.
Carl?
I'm just afraid. I mean, I'm not afraid. I just want to make sure that there's still some shade for folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you move to the taller tree?
Yeah.
That's a nice sized tree.
Yeah, it's about 15 feet.
Yeah. The bigger the better for the containers.
What's wrong with that tree?
I love
It's
it.
beautiful.
I think it's a great idea. I just like all the trees that are busting up the sidewalk, so I think it's a great idea to put the planters and trees and start here and move on to the rest of the town.
Okay. Do you want to put that in form of motion?
Do we need
Do you need a motion?
Not necessarily. If I get a decent quote back and it's under
What
what,
do you want to go with?
I just want to make sure nobody is opposed to that kind of a plan. And that's all. I don't need a formal motion.
Well, we don't have to have one. We ain't rushed. We can do without it until you get ready. But you got the tool with the board already.
Great. We can move on.
So you just want to move on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item on your agenda is public comment. Members of the public are invited to address the Board of Commissioners on any topic. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions or take any action on items brought up during this period. Speakers will address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual. Discussions between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Time limits are 3 minutes per person or 5 minutes per group. Please come forward to the lectern and identify yourself so that your statements can be recorded.
All right. Now it's time for public comment period. Would anyone like to be heard?
Anybody would like to weigh in on anything that was discussed tonight? Sarah, I
Would
know
anyone
you
like to be heard?
You're a
on
big
Captain
advocate
Bison?
on the plantings and stuff downtown. You've done a lot. I mean, what is, do you have an opinion on?
No one else like to be heard, or nobody like to be heard? All right, we will close public comment period. Public comment period is closed. Okay, Melissa.
The next item on your agenda is 5A, which is a resolution declaring the badge and service weapon surplus carried by Police Chief Vance Haskett. So this is typical. We modeled this resolution off of the most recent retirement that we had from the police department, which was James Burrows. And so this is just one of those formalities that takes place when we have an officer retire from the police department.
You need a motion?
A motion would be in order.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution 2023-09, declaring the badge and service weapon carried by Vance Haskett surplus, awarding them to him for his well-deserved retirement.
All right, a second, Todd's motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion and second that the motion be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right.
Is Vance here?
I thought I saw.
He has been here.
Tell him congratulations.
He will, so his official retirement date is October 31st. So that will be his last day. And his badge and service weapon will,
When will be his last day?
October 31st, Halloween.
Good time. Good. All right.
The next item on your agenda is budget amendment number 3. This budget amendment provides an avenue to accept $78,180 for the cybersecurity grant program. In addition to approval of budget amendment number 3, staff will also need you all to include authorization to enter into the grant agreement with the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. So a motion would be in order to amend the budget so we can accept this
Does
amount.
anybody want to subscribe to them? All right, let's move on to budget item number 3. Can we have a motion? Motion is in order.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go on with budget amendment number 3. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right.
The next item on your agenda under old business is stormwater project approval. And we are finally here. So we advertised for a third time the bid for the drainage improvement project. The lowest bid that was submitted in this third iteration was by Hatchell Concrete. Staff received a recommendation from Albemarle and Associates to award the bid to Hatchell Concrete along with bid alternate 1. Funds are available with the help of the $250,000 grant that's been awarded by the Golden Leaf Foundation to contract with Hatchell for the base bid, bid alternate 1, and include a 15% contingency for the project totaling $649,017. If you all agree, the appropriate motion would be to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract agreement with Hatchell Concrete to perform these stormwater improvements. Mike Morway from Albemarle and Associates is here this evening. Should you have any questions that I may not be able to answer, I'm sorry.
Just a brief recap of this project.
So this improves drainage on the west side of town at the outfall, which is right near the Richard Etheridge statue. It is basically taking two existing drainage systems that compete for space right near the outfall and separating them. So we will pipe some stormwater through the south end of the P Island Cookhouse near that property line, so that Agona Street on the west side will drain much better than it does now. There are a number of issues, including the culvert that goes under the street there. And so what bid alternate 1 does is that the base bid was to repave the part of the street of Agona that is going to be most impacted, but the bid alternate number 1 includes paving of the whole street from Simon Street down, which is $14,000 difference. So that's our recommendation, that we just go ahead and pave that entire portion of the street, so there's not uneven pavement and stuff.
And if I remember right, the last weather event we had, it flooded from basically the cookhouse to Pizza Hut.
Yes.
And does this solve, I think Betty brought it up before, there's a section on Sir Walter Raleigh where the school bus drops off that's even on rainy days has an issue?
It's Simon Street, but yes.
Okay. Simon Street, okay.
So Melissa, I just have a question, and I'm sure it can be explained, but I just don't understand. It says, recommend that the base bid be awarded to Hatchell Concrete for $549,963, along with an alternate bid, number 1, for an additional $14,400, for the total contract value to be $564,000. In addition, we recommend a contingency in the amount of another 15%, which would be $84,654. I understand the 15% contingency, but I do not understand the alternate bid number 1 for an additional $14,400. I just don't.
So currently, when we bid this project, we bid this 3 times. The first time, I think we had two respondents. But the goal was to get the cost down because of the amount of funds that we had available to fund the project. So the engineers did their job, and they put together a base package, which currently there is a culvert that goes under Agona Street about in the middle of the street. And so the base bid included new pavement to that point. And the street's not going to be impacted beyond that culvert. But the bid alternate number 1 includes an overlay of asphalt to that point, so that it's from Simon Street all the way down to the end of Agona. It's all overlaid with a new level of asphalt. And so that's that additional $14,000.
And that was also with Fred Smith and Envirotech. That would have been the same bid.
They also responded with amounts, but their base bid, each of their base bids were higher than Hatchell's.
That's it. No, I'm good. I know. I just would like that clarified.
You all right, President?
Yes, sir, we need a motion.
Okay. All right, any more business?
I'll make a motion to approve the stormwater project.
All right, I'm in Virginia. That motion, we do what?
Approve the stormwater project.
Approve the stormwater contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Contract seems to be approved. Okay, I don't have anything. Yeah, I do. I put, as you know, I put a lot of signs out, purposely. I've been doing this stuff for 13 consecutive sessions since 1970. I'm repeating myself many times. I've had signs stolen once before, and believe it or not, the sheriff caught the guy stealing the sign. Wanted me to press action. I told him I wouldn't. If he needed signs working, I'd do it. He's welcome to it. I put 4 signs out specifically with somebody in the car with me, and as of the day, they're gone. I don't think that's proper. I don't think it should be done. That's all I'm going to say about it. Don't know, but I know they are gone where they were put. So I'm gonna leave it right there. That's all I have to say. Betty? Okay.
I don't know who's stealing signs, but that's pretty rude, guys. We're a well-mannered community in general, I think. Sometimes myself excluded. I have to behave well, too. I want to thank Steve Bassnight and Carl Woody and Denise Fallon for getting all of the information together for us for our youth appointee. Carl is going to get us the PDFs and then get it to Melissa and then circulate to all of you guys so we can look over their application process and just the general procedure. And then hopefully we'll have a youth member to our council. And because of that, it has been brought to my attention by one of our citizens, actually, Sarah Benson, that we could get what's called a parliamentarian, which even you could act as then, to help us when we have our new member. I thought it would be nice to go over the procedure and educate them on how things are done. I believe the Board of Education trained their youth appointees, and so I thought, let's offer the same service. Let's train our youth appointees, just so they have the same experience that we have. So I don't know if you can act as that, but you can. Okay. Well, and that's
Not
all.
the best at it, but I usually say that if you have to look at if you have to open Robert's rules at a board meeting, somebody's messing around. But,
Right.
But I would be glad to educate a young applicant on how things work.
Thank you. Wonderful. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Betty. You just want to leave it there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Darryl, nice having you tonight. I know you're a handicap, and but it's really a pleasure to have you here and see your face. It really is. Thanks for coming. All right, Cheryl?
Oh, I don't have anything tonight.
Kenny?
No, sir, thank you.
Tom?
You know I gotta have to say something. I know we've got so many wheels turning and things going on, but I do feel we really need to dial in the dock master position before the summer arrives. I think we need to get it up and make sure it's running first class with ice machines and whatever else we decide to do, because, out of all the services we offer, that is a service that we actually get return on our buck. And I just think it was a nice try doing it with the iPhones or whatever you do. I can't quite figure it out, but I just think that the board needs to really push to go ahead and figure out the process of coming up with somebody who we'd approve to be a good dock master, a good ambassador to these boats. I call them boats, some of them are like ships, but they love Manteo, and I think when they pull up, they need to see a smiling face, and they need to have somebody give them directions, and if they need ice, they need ice. So I think it's just something that we need to really kind of push forward and be ready for the season when it comes up.
Why don't we do it?
Well, we need to.
Well, you're commissioner.
Well,
I'm picking you on.
I know, but I do think that maybe, with Melissa's guidance, I know she's got her plate full, and if she needs like a little subcommittee or something like that to help, maybe vet some candidates who are interested.
First, it's not funded. So we don't have, while we have a dock master position, you all did not appropriate for that when you did the budget this year. So we would need to take a look at finding the money to do that, whether it's a full-time or a part-time position. There are a number of variables there as well, but that was not included as part of the budget that was passed.
Could we set it up so those funds that we are generating from the dock masters are put into the general operation and like salaries for that position?
I think we could.
Good.
But I don't know that it would be self-supporting.
Well, at first it wouldn't, but I think if it was done right, it could be creative. And, I think our docks are as nice as any docks at Pirates Cove or Shallowbag Bay, and to be honest with you, I think they're more protected than any docks, and I know they're not going to find any more of a friendly town than Manteo to come and dock, and I just think it's something that's important for Manteo. We are known for water, and I would like to meet Manteo on a boat. That's all I've got, Mayor.
All right. Anything else the board like to offer, anything else? All right, we have a need to go in, executive closed session.
Is it what?
12 months. That's out there with mine.
All right. There's Press Perry's on the dock master. Any other comments, or they were there for the time being tonight, or what? We do have a need to go in closed session.
Go ahead.
All right.
Make a motion, we enter closed session for NCGS 143-318-11.
Second. Second.
All right. We have a need to go in closed session. It has been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes seem to have it. Motion carried. We are now in closed session.